Hey guys, Kareem telling you live here on the set at AskKareem.com. As you know, this week we're going to talk about outsourcing in the Philippines. The Philippines is #2 in the world, as you know, second only to China for the largest emerging, fastest growing, booming economy. So it's a fantastic day, a great opportunity by Bloomberg for the Philippines. We're live in Quezon City General Circle. It's a phenomenal place, great place. A lot of businesses in the Quezon City are booming and growing right now. But Philippines Outsourcing Success is actually a series that we're going to do for you to tell you about how you can actually outsource in the Philippines successfully. So Philippines Outsourcing Success is an introduction to the actual 10 outsourcing wonderful Philippines opportunities that you can do it and you can learn how to do it successfully. So what happens is you can get a step-by-step guide from Philippines Outsourcing Success to be able to have this report, which is going to show you tips and insights into how you can successfully outsource your company or your lifestyle into the Philippines as well. So you want to think about a few things. You got to be professional. You got to be able to have a startup entrepreneur in your circle. You might want to be a startup entrepreneur. You may be someone who intends to launch something like a new product or something that has a lot like a new service, and that might be why you'd want to outsource. You might want to actually create something or an opportunity for you to be able to, for example, to cut costs in your business. So outsourcing are for those types of people. Operational processes, of course, and the special reports that we do for you are the main things that people like to outsource in the Philippines. Operational processes such as secretarial services, bookkeepings, billings, telephone answering, telephone calling, sales calls, those are all things that are usually outsourced by companies. So here at Ask Kareem this week, I want to showcase to you also, you're going to actually understand and learn from this process what outsourcing can do to help your business to succeed. You're also going to learn how to outsource successfully, and there's also where you can outsource to. It's the #1 place in the world right now, which is the Philippines. The financial benefits of outsourcing will also tap on those for you as well, and then the most popular jobs, services, and departments to outsource are also in this guide for you. In addition to that, there are the steps to take to becoming an outsourced person successfully. Those steps they'll get into you and teach you how to do that as well as to how you can set up your business to be an outsourcing potential candidate so that you can set up the processes that you need to put in place to be able to outsource correctly. So then the last step that we're going to show you here is actually how to get started in outsourcing successfully. So you might ask yourself, how do I join the outsourcing revolution? Why is the Philippines is really big? Why is it that it's a huge situation? And why people are going to the Philippines to outsource? Here that are going to be a few different outsourcers that they want you guys to know about and how they outsource. Hewlett-Packard right now is really big in the Philippines. They also talk about JP Morgan. I think in the United States it's called JP Morgan Chase. They outsource to the Philippines already as well. White & Case, they also outsource to the Philippines, as well as Virgin, Baker McKenzie, AT&T, and Citibank. They're also outsourcing partners to the Philippines. ANZ Bank, Gestar, and Tesla also outsource to the Philippines as well. You guys may not know this, but there are actually 10,000 companies, entrepreneurs, and brands currently in the Philippines outsourcing and getting us the benefits of outsourcing in the Philippines right now. That's 10,000 brands. It's amazing. So if 10,000 brands, you think about it, you're actually probably behind right now. You're actually not really up with the groove right now because of 10,000 entrepreneurs and companies and brands. You should probably be one of those brands. So outsourcing successfully, let me tell you a few tips. First of all, there is no doubt that in today's emerging, phenomenal growing economy that competition is pretty fierce right now. It's pretty huge. Competition right now is really bigger than it's ever been before. So what happens is you have to really streamline your company to make it more flexible, more streamlined, more fast, and more efficient. So outsourcing is becoming really big, as well as strategic alliances, as well as a lot more phenomenally valuable opportunities to really grow your companies and to really outbound your services to another country. So now that you think about it, the world is experiencing an amazing economic growth right now. It's amazing. It's really, really huge. So of that growth right now that they're actually seeing, the Philippines is #2. I'm going to repeat it one more time. #2 only to China. So outsourcing to the Philippines is really becoming really, really big for companies, not only just for products and services, but for a lot of due diligence things as well. Opportunities, lifestyle, staffing, and things like that. So everything has actually switched and changed right now. It's coming all new. So the outsourcing has actually triggered a lot of different things that need to happen. So now that you see the rules, the regulations, the market indicators of yesterday no longer apply, what are you going to do about that? What are you really going to do now that your company doesn't have those rules anymore? They're not bound by, you can't outsource. It's not bound by everything has to be made in America or done in America. Now you take opportunities. So now that you're becoming more relevant and more available, you can select, there's a select few big players that are playing a big game in the outsourcing, but the truth of it is, now the small guys are getting more and more into the game as well. So the question they want you to ask is, what if, truthfully, what if tomorrow you could actually quadruple your revenues in 1 year? It actually says that right here. What if tomorrow you could cut costs and overhead by 50 or more %? I'm reading this from the cue cards, you guys. What would you do tomorrow? You could gain a lifestyle of complete freedom, and then also you can join over 1 million businesses, entrepreneurs, and brands doing it right now. What if? So the question then asks you, are you a CEO, are you an entrepreneur, or are you a lifestyle seeker? If you are, you can actually reach those goals by outsourcing. You may ask yourself, why now? Why is it now that people are looking at outsourcing and growing their companies? Why is it becoming really huge for companies to not do all the work in-house? Well, the big thing is new innovations in technology. New innovations in technology is what has created this hyper bubble right now. You can actually have high-speed, worldwide internet right now, online team managing, and you can also have interfaces, real-time workstations, as well as web printing and global payment solutions right on your websites. So truthfully, business as well as outsourcing and services are virtually can be done anywhere in the world. Customers can be anywhere in the world. Your staff can be anywhere in the world. So there's no reason for you to be landlocked in one particular country. So the next thing you want to understand is there's a global army, literally a global army of English-speaking workers. That's another reason why now is the perfect time. So now that you have English literate workforces all around the world, now America is not the center any longer of the world. So other people can actually do work. They can do very well. They can read the books. They can read the notes. They can talk to clientele. And they have made it to where America is no longer the center of the constant, economic bubble right now. Philippines is actually number one for fastest growing economy, but number 2 to China for the biggest market. But truthfully, that's another reason why people are outsourcing right now. So the more self-motivated, self-managing workforce, that's another huge opportunity. There's workers that are actually working from their home. They're managing themselves, they're pushing themselves forward, and they're being more tax-driven workforce. That's another huge advantage from outsourcing to other countries like the Philippines. So subcontractors, those guys actually no longer need to have daily managers. They no longer need to have that. No one needs to whip them every day and check them. There's no clocks to clock into. There's no management of them, which is a major, huge amount of assets for you, because you can actually then save money on everything that you're doing. So then you're not actually working and managing with these people every day. So the power of the dollar and the pound, for that matter, is bigger than it's ever been, like in the last, not ever been, but the last decade or so, as they say here. So that means that $1 can actually equal, $40 to 50 bucks. So that means you can get 50 times your earnings in outsourcing right now. So that means that your existing budget can be expounded. You can actually cut back, or you can actually then go and maybe put more money into marketing, more money into sales. And there's a much more technology-driven customer market right now that's actually also changing how people look at outsourcing. Right now, your customers can come from anywhere in the world. So as they come from anywhere in the world, so does your workforce. Customers are moving to on-the-go type of mobile interactive purchasing. So you must be flexible. You must be fluid. Your company must actually come through and work out with the curve. The hyper-emerging new consumer market is phenomenal in the Philippines right now. These guys are really big. That means your customers are all over the world. So that means your customers are all over the world, so your operations should be all over the world too. Because if you get clients in a third world country, for example, you're an American company, you're actually going to gain market share, because those clients are going to buy your product at a premium. Your product is probably going to be at a higher market value in that country as well. So the actual hyper-emerging new customer markets are driving that outsourcing actually right now. So Then the VOB model, which is the VOB model, they call that the virtual owner business model. It's phenomenal, you guys. That is actually the freeing of the lifestyle, the actual innovative and business operation model. Those benefits of management of a VOB model, that allows you actually to escape the office. So you actually get out of the office and get freelance. You can actually go around the world. You can work from anywhere in the world. Work from your laptop as well. You can actually manage your company or your staff remotely as well, which is an amazing, amazing thing in freedom. You can then go through and abolish micromanagement. That means you can actually knock through micromanagement. You can kill the actual competition to where you're not actually having to stand over that person every day and manage them. You're not telling them what to do every few seconds. You're not following them around. You're not actually paying other people to run those staff for you. They're actually pushing themselves. So then you actually can cut overhead by doing that as well. If you're able to cut your overhead and cut your costs, then what's going to happen is you're going to be able to save money, make more money, and perhaps offer your products for a cheaper rate. So once we get through with that, the benefits of successful outsourcing in the Philippines right now is the owner overhead benefits. Let's see, the owner overhead benefits. If you could just think for 1 second and imagine in your head. If you could imagine that there is no need for office space. So your company actually has no office space. No trash cans, no staplers, no desk, no phone lines, no insurance, no toilets, no toilet paper. None of that stuff exists for you anymore. At least not completely throughout your company, because you've outsourced that now. There's no need, of course, for phone lines. That's a huge thing for companies in the United States. Those phone lines you put in can be thousands of, tens of thousands of dollars. So there's no need also for office equipment. So if you don't have office equipment, we're talking about phones, printers, computers, and all of those things, because you've outsourced, what would you save off your budget right away? There's no need, of course, for human resource staff. So there's no need for hiring, firing, benefits, overtime, things like that. You don't usually pay a lot of those when you outsource. Those are all included in your outsourcing fee. So then you go from that point, if you have no staff, the next thing you have is you have no uniform, you have no dress codes. You're not paying your staff to have uniforms anymore. You're not paying for the way that they look, the way that they carry themselves. That means your staff are also not doing that. They're not putting money into getting to work every day. They're not putting money into ironing their clothes or getting their dry cleaning as well, because you cut out the dress codes and uniforms. Then you go through and there's no need at all for management. You're not technically managing these outsourced companies. They're managed by the owners of those companies. So that actually is a benefit for you. Then there's actually no need for employment taxes. Could you imagine that one? If there was no employment tax at all, if that was completely cut out tomorrow in your company. And then of course, there's many, many, many more benefits. So outsourcing, it could be a phenomenal thing for you. So for you as a team member, excuse you guys, we're live right now in the Philippines. As you can tell, the natural sounds. We're talking to you right now about the Philippines outsourcing. So next, if you're a team member or an employee, the benefits to you, if you could imagine for one day as well, that you can work from almost anywhere in the world. You could be right here in Lena Park, sitting at a bench, using your laptop, working, making more money than you may work in an office somewhere. You can also work next to the beach. You can work from your home. You can work with your kids. Those are all benefits to the team member. And then you can work anytime, virtually anytime usually. One, usually if you're working in like the Philippines, for example, and you're on American time, you're working overnight. So your daytime is actually free to be with your family. That's one benefit. The other benefit is maybe if you're not managed and you're not actually managing situations, the employee can actually do the work whenever he wants, as long as he beats his deadline. The best, I think personally, to be honest, is to be self-managed. There's no boss anymore. You're self-managing yourself. You're just clocking in or clocking out, or you're doing deliverables, and that's actually a benefit for you as a team manager, because now it's based off your individual success rate, not those around you. And then there is no rush hour traffic. Imagine that one, no traffic. So besides no rush hour traffic, which if you're in California or somewhere like that, or even in the Philippines for that matter, New York City, that is an amazing advantage for you. They can cut off 2 or 3 hours of your day right there alone, not to mention gas or fares and things like that. But of course, at that point, truthfully, you don't need a car at all. So there's no need for a car. That's actually another benefit for you. If you're an employee of an outsourced situation or a team member, there's no need for a car anymore. That's great for you as well. Then, of course, you don't need uniforms or suits anymore, because no one cares what you look like if you're not in the office anymore. That's a great thing for you as well. And you can, of course, usually, if you're working in a third world country and you're working in the Philippines for outsourcing, you actually can earn a lot more money, a lot more income, possibly double, triple, or quadruple your income as well by doing that. That's another advantage for you if you're an employee or a team member in an outsourced situation. So you got to understand one thing too, with all of those things, the benefits for the employees, the benefits for the owners as well, why would outsourcing not be a phenomenally great thing for them? So when you come through, a lot of times you may not think about it, but companies are not just looking at outsourcing as a way to expand. Many companies in the United States, especially on the West, they actually used outsourcing formula to revive their fledgling company. A lot of companies were dying. I want to say there's a list here. 7-Eleven. We talk about Krispy Kreme donuts. We're talking about Kenny Rogers Roasters, FUBU, athletic wear, FUBU Fashions, or FUBU International as they're called now actually. We've got Tang, which is Tong in the Philippines, but Tang actually and Nestea, as well as Wrangler Jeans, have actually revived their companies by outsourcing those companies. And not just outsourcing services, but actually outsourcing the products and finding new markets that are paying premium. We'll give you one example actually right now. Krispy Kreme donuts right now, right? It boasts 2 block lines in the Philippines right now. People are waiting in 2 block lines at gourmet Krispy Kreme donut shops to have those wonderful Krispy Kreme donuts. That hasn't happened in the United States for 20 years, especially with health benefits and things like that. So they've outsourced their products and they actually have a brand new high-paying market as well. You know, Wrangler Jeans as well as FUBU. FUBU International is what they're called now. That company is now at the level of Versace, Prada, and selling at high-end malls and to guys who are paying premium for those brands. And also Nestea. Nestea is #1, which maybe in America we've all forgotten about that. It's still around. They're really big and they're really kicking abroad. Nestea is actually boasts more than 75%. I'm sorry you guys, I'm actually live in the Philippines. It's pretty windy right now. It's a great day, but I want you guys to really know that we're live getting information for you right now about outsourcing. So a lot of folks have messaged in and asked us, Kareem, they ask you, how did they do it? I'm gonna read this. In the United States, these companies and brands, along with more than 5,000 others, are downsizing, bankrupt, or even non-existent, like Kenny Rogers, Roasters, and 7-Eleven. So how are they also among some of the top brands? I'll answer that question for you right now. They outsourced. That's how they did it. If you're asking me how they did it, it's very simple. They outsourced their products. More than likely, they outsourced bottling and packaging and marketing and things like that as well. And actually in the Philippines or abroad, they're selling for higher prices because now they're premium in the marketplace. They're not so common in those markets. I want to take you through other added inherent benefits of outsourcing. First of all, you have to understand that you can raise your brand to an all-new level. You can take your company, your brand, to a completely new level by outsourcing. I'll give you one example. In the United States, for example, a pair of Vans tennis shoes is around $25 to $35. In the Philippines, for example, that same pair of shoes is $125. They outsource their brand, and there are other costs involved, of course, but they actually are now making 2 to 3 times retail what they sell in the United States. That's one way they're doing it. And their brand is also a higher level brand next to, you know, other top brand shoes, as opposed to being a very common beach skater brand in the United States. You can also learn how, by outsourcing, to reinvent your brand, how to make your brand real fresh, real new. You can learn how to reinvent that brand. That's another thing that you can do by outsourcing it, because it's an all new, fresh, new day for you. That's really a great thing you can do as well. After that, you can lower, and in some cases you can eliminate, I say eliminate again, you can eliminate expensive Australian, US, and Western overhead and tax burdens. What they're saying here, you guys, is you can actually cut the cost of what it's going to cost you to do taxes, to do overhead, to do operations, shipping, handling, services, staff. You don't have to have those handicapped toilets and restrooms anymore. You can cut that cost out completely. So then you can peg your company or your brand in a high niche market. You can actually now make your brand higher than what it was probably in your hometown or your home country. That gives you an added advantage of brand satisfaction. Then that means you have another freedom of lifestyle. Owners who do this, as well as employees who do this, have a freedom of lifestyle where they can do whatever they want. They can go out and have a lot more freedom than they would if they had a job. So now I'm going to give you some examples of outsourcing success. We talked earlier about Vans tennis shoes. I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper right now. Vans tennis shoes, as I said, is $25 to $35 a pair in the United States. It's over $125 in the Philippines, for example. And in the Philippines, they're the same as a pair of dress shoes. You can wear them out to restaurants. That's one great example. So that means that for a few US stores that are selling those, now Vans tennis shoes are actually sold in the Philippines, for example, in large department stores, very high-end stores, and they're a very high-end product. They reinvented their brand. There's no doubt about that. the Philippines' biggest outsourcing partners. Okay, these are the Philippines' biggest outsourcers. We're going into Accenture. We're going to talk about Accenture a little bit. We actually are talking about Convergys, JP Chase, we mentioned that before as well, Sutherland, Citel, IBM as well. IBM is amongst those companies as well, HSBC, as well as Shell Company. You may know about those. Emerson Electric, AIG Insurance, Lexmark, and Merckx. Phenomenal companies that are all creating and reinventing their companies by outsourcing. I want to also talk to you, what do the biggest outsourcers and outsource? A lot of folks ask me, what are the companies outsourcing? What departments? What can I be thinking about that I can outsource right now in my company? We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but I'm going to get into a few of those steps right now. One, billing and collection services. Easy one. Billing and collections, those are easy to outsource, as well as in and outbound calls. Those in and outbound calls are always something fast and easy that you can outsource. They go into accounting services management, editing, and marketing. Editing, meaning editing your writing, editing your letters and emailing, as well as marketing materials, graphics design, layout, advertising, printing, banners, things like that. As well as large and short run printings. That means your flyers, your menus, as well as your magazines, for example, your that's your newsletters. Those things are all, as well as catalogs, for example, too. Those things are all things which are very popular to be outsourced. Also amongst them are local and international distribution. Local and international distribution is huge. Those things are something that you always want to outsource. And then tech services, always known that India took that over years and years ago. The Philippines now beat out India. But the tech services means when you call in with a problem with your phone, with your website, or with your computer, things like that, that person that you call into, that's your tech person. That person is something easy that they can outsource from your company if you need those services for your customers. And then research and development, the guys that actually go through and find the facts that you need to find out for whatever you need to find out about, talking about marketing, for example, market research, product development, R&D, those things are easily outsourced as well. So you got to think right now for you is, what is outsourcing going to do for you? How good is that for you? How is outsourcing success going to take you to that next level that you need your country to go to? You need to think about that for a minute. I'm going to take a break, and after that we'll come right back and we'll have a little bit more about outsourcing success for you right now. So the power of outsourcing is a phenomenal, amazing thing. So I hope that you've enjoyed this segment. Actually, I hope that you've learned a whole lot about it. I hope that you've learned about how the power of outsourcing can help your company, help your career, help vitalize your company, help open new brand opportunities for you. And I want to refresh your memory a little bit. I want to take you back through. I want you to understand that enabling failing companies to realize profitability, that's a phenomenal thing. If you're a company experiencing a bad time right now and a particular service or a particular strategy can help you realize better profits, of course you would want to take that opportunity. And of course, if entrepreneurs can have an army, as I said before, a literal army of support personnel who has less than one Western employee's salary. You have employees that are making less than one Westerner's employee's salary. That's a phenomenal thing as well. So then if you can debunk brands, if you can take brands that are debunked right now, not doing real well, and you can introduce them to a newfound booming market for expansion, that's another great thing that you can do. So of course, we're happy, we're wonderful about outsourcing, and it could save your company. Of course, fledgling startups can also realize hypergrowth due to the lack of growth hindering overhead. That means that a startup can actually start at a better, easier situation than actually what they're doing right now. So if that's the thing for you, then of course, that's the power of outsourcing. It's a wonderful thing. So you ask me, maybe perhaps, you've got a lot of questions I should ask Kareem at KareemAntonio.com is, why now? Why is it right now that it's so good, that it's so wonderful an opportunity? What is now have to do with the success of anything? The outsourcing is truthfully a mass opportunity, but it's newly a mass opportunity. Right now, new. It's a very phenomenal thing. That mass opportunity has just started. 30 years ago, you could not have done this. 30 years ago, you could not have outsourced the things you can outsource now. So it's new. So from the small lawyer, the small doctor, the small firm, they can now use outsourcing for their business. Before, it was only set up for the large, big guys. That was the problem before. So of course, the upstart, it started in the West, of course. If you remember way back in the day, if you think back, way back in the day, those hospitals, law firms, or the sales departments, temporary agencies searching for cost-effective ways to expand and leverage themselves, those are the guys that put the boom in outsourcing from the West. They were at that time looking at the solution to expand their temporary staff, to have temporary staff during holidays, Christmas time, doing product launches. That's when they were doing it. So they test marketed these opportunities for you, and they went through and they used those to actually use the sales opportunity. So again, 20 years ago, you actually went to the outsourcing industry. That's when it boomed. That's when it first happened, was 20 years ago. If you can think back to mostly what people were doing was outsourcing office phones and things like that. You had, I think at that time they were called answering services. Those answering services are what you actually outsourced. Those are the ones that you use for ticket agencies, as well as facilitated sales for events. A lot of those things were outsourced. I'm not talking international outsourcing, not yet. I'm talking local demographic outsourcing, maybe in your own city, downtown, in your next state. They were outsourcing those services within the US or the West or Australia at that time. Then they eventually crept themselves outside of the US, and it became bookkeeping and accounting were kind of the first kickstarters that were doing the outsourcing thing at that time. Then you had American workers who were picketing and protesting. No one wanted to outsource. You lost millions of jobs overnight. I think Sprint and AT&T laid off 40,000 employees in a 6-month span. That killed the American economy. And so that was a really bad time for American workers who were upset about the outsourcing. You had 300,000 or more American jobs that were downsized or outsourced. 300,000. So then you go in outsourcing. At the end of that, outsourcing became what actually saved the United States. Outsourcing did that because those companies were able to cut their costs, cut their expense, and they were actually to do what they wanted to do, grow their brands, expand their brands, bring them back. I'm talking about Krispy Kreme donuts, as I mentioned before. We're talking about 7-Eleven as well. I think I mentioned Vans tennis shoes as well. Those companies before are companies that reinvented themselves by outsourcing. Then lastly, today. Today, outsourcing is the #1 fastest growing market industry in the world right now. Countries are led by outsourcing services. So it's not new, it's not a surprising thing actually that outsourcing was made available to the masses, which now is the next boom in that, where small businesses, individuals are now able to outsource things that they want to do or do not want to do, or they want them done better or to upgrade. Virtual Business Solutions was then born. That solution was born. It was a phenomenal thing. It was great. It was really a solution that was born out of nowhere. That was very surprising. The conversion rate, when that hit 40 times, about 10 years ago, when it hit 40 times, outsourcing became a really big solution because now your money could go further as well. So the US recession, that forced some drastic changes in the way that we did business in America, which is why we came to places like the Philippines. At first it was India as well. So the actual recession made us think a little bit more about what we're spending our money on. And then you went through the outsourced employee. Those guys became highly educated. If you remember in the US, when you call the customer service or the office of things, those were not the highest educated, best service employees. Some companies are better than others, but they were not known for that. But when you outsource, now you had really highly educated, college degree employees working for less than what you were paying in the United States before. So that then led to the Philippines overtaking India and the world's outsources as well. They overtook India. And that was probably about 2 or 3 years ago when they knocked India off the box and became huge. It was phenomenal. The Philippines now ranks one of the world's top English-speaking countries in the world. Top in the world. That means that 5 out of 10 people could work for you and help you with your outsourcing company. And outsourcing industries or call centers are one of the biggest industries in the country as well. So then the Philippines then ranked top in English. They beat India. They became a top outsourcing mecca place. And then after that, 20 million or more independent, self-motivated, self-sufficient employees were born. They were low and highly skilled virtual sales. They were actually employees that were living as freelancers. So now you weren't paying the overhead, you weren't paying the stock, you weren't paying any of that stuff anymore. And that was a phenomenal thing. And then of course, boom, outsourcing boomed. It grew tremendously and it was phenomenal. That was also great. So then you go through and then the startups, and then you go through such as Odesk, which is now called Updesk. Those guys were companies that were born from the outsourcing and the recession. Then you revolutionize the one-on-one outsourcing industry. An industry that more than 20 million people use right now just for outsourcing and just for Odesk and Updesk alone. 20 million. So then I got a lot of interest, and we got a lot of calls and a lot of emails asking, also, how do we get started? How do we start in this outsourcing thing? We had 10 steps. That's 10 steps to get started in outsourcing successfully now. Personal outsourcing readiness assessment is what we do to see how do you become readier. Are you ready for this? Can you have the other programs in place, internet, documents, electronic data, communication, cell phones, to even outsource? Are you intercompany assessment? Do you have things inside your company that you can actually bring out and outsource in general? So a lot of folks actually messaged us and asked us, okay, outsourcing is great. We love it. We get it. We understand. We really want to get our company streamlined. We want to cruise in our ship. We want to sell the world. We want freedom. We want to be able to be with our family more. So the next question was, how do we get started? How do I begin in outsourcing successfully? How do I do that? So we have 10 steps to get started in outsourcing successfully. 10 steps. First of all, we do a personal outsource readiness assessment. How are you inside personally going to deal with outsourcing? Can you deal with it? Can you handle it? What can you do to outsource? For example, can you outsource your phone calls? Can you outsource your emails? Can you outsource reading your emails? Can you outsource hitting the junk box button? Those things are personal things that we want to see if you're ready to outsource. Then intercompany assessment. Inside your organization, are you ready to outsource the things that you are not wanting or needing to do internally? They're costing you probably a fortune. And those things, as I told you before, from bookkeeping to sales, inbound, outbound, those things in your office or in your company, can you outsource those? Then of course, outsourcing solutions research. We're going to research and understand what solutions of outsourcing are actually best for you, right for you, for your particular situation, your particular company, your industry. What outsourcing things are great for you? What are others doing? Then outsourcing opportunity value assessment. The opportunity of outsourcing, you should quantify that and see what you're spending right now, what you'd be spending less tomorrow, and then look at that assessment to see what you could save, which then of course creates your new budget for outsourcing. Then from that point, we create a strategic outsource solution, a solution strategically to take your business to the next level to where you're now outsourcing successfully those things, or at least looking to start outsourcing successfully as well. So then you develop one of those 100 phenomenal 3-phase outsourcing success plan. That's a 3-phase outsourcing success plan. We want to go through and get 3 phases that we can take you to where eventually you're outsourced, you're done, you're finished, you're free on that boat or whatever you want to do. After that, you want to have an outsourcing implementation plan. How are we going to implement the outsourcing for you? And then of course, outsource management. How are you or your staff going to outsource the management of what you want to do? How are you going to take that and make it a reality for you? That's the next question that we do. Then after that, you can go ahead and be free. You can do whatever you want to do. You've outsourced. You just want to manage weekly, daily, monthly, or whatever it might be, but you're free right now. Figure out what you're going to do. Then from that point, now I want to tell you, you should probably get ready. And some things you can do to get ready to outsource, you can always look at KareemAntonio.com. You can look at success at KareemAntonio.com, or you can of course ask Kareem at KareemAntonio.com. But of course, you want to embrace the transition. You don't want to fight the outsourcing. You want to embrace it as an opportunity. And from that point, you want to prepare yourself for that learning curve. There's going to be undoubtedly, inevitably, a learning curve. You want to prepare yourself for that impact of the learning curve. And from that point, you want to establish a realistic time frame. It's not going to be one day or 1 month for that matter. It might take you 6 months or a year. Whatever that is, establish a realistic time frame to be able to outsource. Then you want to be able to recruit your outsourcing agent or consultant or your partner, or all 3 for that matter. Who is going to actually handle the outsourcing for you? Who's going to contact those companies, do the deals for you, come back to you with information, set the deals up, because usually they're going to be outside of your country. So you don't want to be flying back and forth. You're just going to burn more money and take more time. So you want to actually recruit that agent, which of course, Kareem Antonio, we do that for you as well. But you can look at thousands of other companies that help you to outsource your services in your company. And from that point, you want to identify securely with that agent or your broker the tasks, the departments, and services that you want to be outsourced. You want to identify those things. And then you want to go ahead you're gonna have to upgrade your gadgets. Usually CEOs don't have the hippest, coolest gadgets, but when you're outsourced, you gotta be on demand. So your company needs to be more sophisticated, more tech savvy. You need to outsource that. So again, I would encourage you to go ahead and keep asking Kareem at KareemAntonio.com. I want to encourage you to do what you want to do, love what you want to do, live your life. Outsourcing is a phenomenal opportunity for you. And I think you can take that opportunity. Once again, I want to congratulate the Philippines on being #2 in the world's biggest market, second only to China, my God, only second to China. So I want to say congratulations. Again, Kareem Antonio on the set, live in the Philippines, and phenomenal, sunny, hot day in the Circle in Quezon City. I want to thank you very much. You've been watching Philippines Outsourcing Success. Hope I've helped you today, and I thank you very much and hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.